It's your middle-aged man with borderline personality disorder here again, and today I wanted to address what's actually, if you twist and turn a bit, 3 positive traits that many of us have. They are the other side of the coin of our condition, because if you have a strong ability with something, it usually comes at least with a possibility of being used in a positive way. So yeah, everything has a silver lining, even borderline personality disorder, I believe. One of those are probably how we very often don't have a very strong identity, a sense of identity at least. Of course, we have an identity and we can be very self-aware about a lot of things, but I think this topic in general needs a lot of nuanced discussion, which I don't think the videos I've seen on YouTube have. They tend to portray us as people who are clueless about ourselves, and that's not the case. Not the case at all. But what I am, at least myself as a borderline, I'm very disconnected from a lot of things when it comes to identity. I can easily shift identity. Meaning, if I lose my job, it is of course stressful, like it is for many other people. But unlike many other people, I'm very, very rarely my job. My identity is not my profession. Because even if I make it my identity, the very fact that most of us with borderline shift from jobs and hobbies and passion through our life makes this a very easy shift compared to others. This is all relative, of course, but I've noticed this, how stressful a change of hobbies or identity it is for other people when it comes to those things, professional things at least. And it's not for me. So, for my personal sake, I would consider this a positive trait. I have to show you something here on the ground. That's a bone from a pig, I believe. It's farmland, so everything is possible here. Yes, well, that was the first positive trait, our flexibility when it comes to identity. It is useful, for sure. Our impulsive trait, which also leads to a lot of issues, it can also be very useful. Borderline people are risk takers. We are not afraid of taking dangerous risks, for good and bad. The bad we all know of, we have all mentioned, we have all who have a reason to watch a video about someone talking about borderline personality. We all know the bad things about impulsive behavior, but it will also mean that I'm not afraid of changing things radically in my life. The only thing I'm afraid of changing radically is usually my relationship. The fear of abandonment is strong, but all other things makes us prone to be able to take great leaps of faith when it comes to career changes in life, for instance. And I'm a perfect example of that. I've shifted my professional identity many times. I have a lot of various different kind of experiences, and I worked with a lot of things, studied a very large amount of things at university, trying out new education and things all the time. Because for me, I feel no fear over this. It's just practical things. Yeah, so the trait of being risk takers can be successful sometimes. It can. I just want to point out, it doesn't have to, but it can. And the third trait is that we are usually quite hypersensitive to any emotional change surrounding people, especially our partner. And that thing is usually mostly negative, because we tend to project it as something negative. It's always something negative that we assume from this thing. Our fear of abandonment is strong, for sure. Oh, I'm getting over this wall of stone, looking out of this really, really large field. The fear of abandonment makes our hypersensitivity a mostly negative thing. But I've also noticed that I'm very good at picking up things in people, other people, which I don't have a relationship to, which I don't have any personal connection to, that clouds my judgment. And then I'm just very attentive to the fact what happens to them. There's something new about a person. They act in a new way. I rarely miss that a person is feeling down, feeling unhappy, depressive, as I am with my partner. It's the same with basically everyone around me. If I know them, I will notice the change. It is a very strange trait, because it doesn't mean that I act on it. And I'm not a person that acts on empathy very much. I tend to ignore people and their issues. I think this might be a defense mechanism of just the simple fact that you're not only your diagnosis, you're more than that. And I think I am a person with a lot of selfish traits and a lot of cold parts in myself. So I could best be described as a robot that notices everything about you and your change, but I won't react to it. I won't ask you how you're feeling. So, well, unless I'm convinced I should. That's why I think I would have been a quite good doctor. I think I would have noticed what's odd about people, what their traits that are not expected, maybe. So yeah, of course I should make a little caveat here that while this is a thing that's easy to do with people you know, it's of course not as easy to do with people you don't know. So I won't know my patients, but I think I could point out still traits in their behavior quite effectively, and on how they are feeling. So yeah, I think this is a positive trait. Being hypersensitive is useful when you're analyzing people in general, I think. Just noting that it is of course easier with people you do know, but I think it would have been effective in a professional setting as well. I've never tried it though. I have some experience from nursing school actually. Believe it or not, I started a career once to become a nurse. I ended it because I felt more intrigued and more interested in the analysis process that doctors do than in just the performing care thing that nurses do. So while I just claim that I'm a very sensitive person, that's not necessarily the same as me being an outward empathic person. I think that's not necessarily the thing you should assume when this is mentioned. I've seen people mention empathy as a strong side of borderline people, but I think it's an oversimplification. I think we are all, or at least very many of us, hypersensitive about the external cues that people give off. But yeah, that's not the same thing, of course. But I think if you are a borderline person with a lot more empathic skills than I have, you would probably be very good at analyzing people. Would you be good at handling this emotional burden? Maybe. I don't think that's connected to borderline necessarily. You know, some people, borderline not, that are hypersensitive, tend to struggle a lot with other people's emotion. They kind of get flooded and saddened by other people's burdens. That trait is probably not very useful, because it can make you in a professional setting not be very objective. Empathy is good, but let's be honest, it can cloud our judgment on what is happening in a person. If you care very much for a person, sometimes feeling with this person and how they are feeling and what they are feeling is not the best thing. So, well, 3 abilities that many, or most even, borderline personality disorder people have. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me that this lack of identity is something you can use to help yourself in times where you need to change your life? I'm certain of this. It has helped me quite a lot. Mentioning that, of course, it's very possible that my inability of caring about this identity thing is probably also a reason why I quit things. As strong as some people fight for a thing, I give up very easily because it doesn't matter to me. The impulsive aspect of being brave and trying new things, I've heard this a lot in my life. Wow, you're so brave going to school and doing that, or well, all kinds of things. And I've never understood at all what's brave about this. I feel, if anything, I feel a bit like a failure rather than that I don't live up to the societal expectation of being a person that works at the same place with the same career, goal oriented and such. I'm not very goal oriented. I'm a person that wants to be happy in life. That's my goal. And that's not always easy to combine with a career, as everyone probably knows. So yeah, and the third thing then, empathy or hypersensitivity. Can it be useful? Yeah, I'm sure it can. And also a superpower maybe even. But it's always, and for me as well, portrayed as a curse more. So yeah, well, what do you think? I just asked you that like recently, but when you improvise a video like this, walking around talking without a script, that's what you get. Unstructural videos. Well, folks, let me know in the comments what you think, and have a good one.